line of company.
A police corporal is arrested and charged after threatening his common-law wife with a service weapon. A single Tonight on Ctv3 News, a police corporal is arrested and charged after threatening his common-law wife with a service weapon. A single shot is fired in disturbing incident. Joseph Budna claims state targeting in aggravated assault charge. The country sees a spike in COVID cases, and Belize-Mexico further strengthen ties to promote tourism, travel, and trade. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, July 30, 2024.
Choose a side.
We fight for our queen!
Declare for the Greens or for the Blacks.
Hold to your courage for the one true King Aegon!
Driven by family feuds, the Targaryen civil war in House of the Dragon is split between Greens aligned with Alicent and Aegon Section and Blacks who support Rhaenyra in claiming the Iron Throne.
War is coming, and neither of us may win.
Pledge your allegiance. Watch House of Dragons Season 2 on Max.
With your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Joanna Rodriguez. Over the weekend, police in Orange Walk arrested one of their own following a report made against him by his common-law wife. According to reports, police were called out to the community of San Jose here in the Orange Walk district in the wee hours of Saturday, July 27th, where a report of an ongoing domestic dispute was reported. Upon arrival, police spoke to the common-law wife of Police Corporal Urban Jones, who reported that the officer had arrived home at about 2 a.m. under the influence of alcohol. Once at the front door of their home, the officer took out his licensed 9mm pistol and cranked it. Fearing for her life and that of her children who were inside the house sleeping, she hurriedly closed the door of the home and stood inside. She then heard one of gunshots fired and looked through the window where she saw her husband standing outside in the yard holding the gun. Fearful, she ran into the room where her 3 children, ages 12, 10, and 9 were, and locked herself inside. Shortly after, she heard Urban banging on the door aggressively. During the altercation, the officer reportedly told his wife that the firearm was pointed directly to her and threatened that he would release bullets at the door. Police were called to the residence. Once there, the scene was processed and cops were able to retrieve an expended shell from the yard as well as a 9mm firearm. 35-year-old Urban Vladimir Jones was detained and was today formally arrested on charge with 1 count of aggravated assault in connection with the incident. The officer appeared yesterday before the Orange Walk Lower Court. However, the matter was dismissed.
Yes, that policeman has been arrested and charged, and he'll be going to court this morning. From what I get to understand is that the wife have now retracted her, not accepting that. We're saying to her that if it is that she no longer wish to proceed to court, then she have to go to the court and inform the court of that. We are proceeding with the matter before the court this morning.
And in terms of internal charges?
We'll have to wait to see what the court is going to do, because for us to be able to proceed with internal charges against him, we do need her as well. So we have to wait to see what happens at court today.
Is this cop known for being violent?
No, he's not, no.
This is the first incident?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Although no further actions will be taken against Jones in the legal corridor, the Commissioner of Police has declared that his weapon is not to be returned. Police will apply to the Firearms and Ammunition Board to have his license revoked. The charges against the officer is also expected to stand at the police tribunal. Joseph Bunna was arraigned in the Belmopan Lower Court yesterday morning on a charge of abetment to commit murder. The charge was brought to him on Friday in San Ignacio in connection with the murder of Armando Coy Cacao, which occurred almost 3 years ago. The murder occurred on Saturday, July 24, 2021 on Guyana Street in the San Martin area of Belmopan. There, the lifeless body of Armando Cacao was found under a tree with apparent stab wounds to the neck and body. Investigations at the time revealed that Cacao was last seen around 5:30 p.m. on Friday, July 23, 2021, riding his bicycle in the San Martin area. His body was later found by a passerby. As he was paraded out of court and into the police mobile to be transported to the Central Prison, self-proclaimed journalist Joseph Budna attempted to speak to media personnel who were outside the courtroom. In his statements, Budna claims that the charge laid against him is false and are part of what he calls a witch hunt being orchestrated against him.
I know that the government is doing a witch hunt against me. I had been an activist. I had stand up for what is right. I had spoken. I did a live from in front of the Ministry of Police. And when I did that, immediately charges start to come against me. Even though there's not sufficient evidence, they try to put me in prison. They're trying everything. They bring charge whole of this week to me. And if they find me dead in a cell, right, it's the government to be blamed, right? If I am found in my cell, it's the government to be blamed, right? Because they're trying to get me to prison. If I don't get my medication, it's not that I deny, it's that they don't want to give me my medication. They are trying to get rid of me for speaking what is right. This is after doing a live on Friday afternoon in front of the Ministry of National Security. That's police.
Are you saying the charges are false?
They are false. They are false. There's no evidence to the charges.
And while Budna claims there is no evidence against him, yesterday the Commissioner of Police Chester Williams explained that charges against Budna came following a new investigation into the 2021 murder. This investigation, according to the Compol, was led by a team of special investigators assembled following the state of emergency imposed on Belize City and the Cayo district a few weeks ago.
Following the SOE, I had put together a team of specialized investigators from Special Branch, Major Crime, CIB, and GI3. And I had tasked them to look at all the past murders that we have had. So what they're doing is that they're going particularly in Belmopan and Belize district, particularly in the Cayo and Belize district area, those areas that we do have the SOE. So for them to look at all those murder investigations and see if they can go back and re-interview witnesses, look at video footages, read the statements and see what additional work could be done to be able to identify the perpetrator of these murders. And that team that I had put together, which is headed by ACP Dawson, I must say had been doing a very, very commendable job in the sense that they had been able to solve 3 murders. One, we had the murder of the man who was killed in Fresh Pond during the robbery. For that, the guy Arnold was charged. Then they also solved the murder with Coleman in Belmopan. And then this one now, for which Budna has been charged for, I think, abetment to murder. Again, the perpetrator or the principal offender in that particular instance, from what we gather, had left the country and was killed, I think, in Honduras. So the actual perpetrator of that crime, from what we are gathering, has been killed in Honduras. So we were only able to arrest Budna because there is evidence to suggest that he had something to do with that particular crime, and the police do have the evidence. So that's the reason why he was arrested.
Recent investigations also point to another person of interest in connection with this murder who is being sought by police.
The woman supposedly had against you, right?
I'm not going to go into details with that, but we are looking for somebody else. And there are a number of other murder cases that the unit is looking at, as well as some of the high-profile robberies. We had also solved a couple of those robberies as well through the team.
The specialized team of investigators, according to Campbell Williams, are working on a number of cold cases in the Belize and Cayo districts. Over the past weeks, Belize had seen a spike in COVID-19 cases, particularly in the Belize district, according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. This rise mirrors a global trend of increased infections, prompting health officials to urge vigilance and preventative measures. But apart from COVID, Belize is also experiencing an increase in respiratory illnesses as well as gastroenteritis, says Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, Director of the Public Health and Wellness at the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Well, in terms of the communicable diseases, we do a weekly report on communicable diseases, and for the last week we have seen an increase in gastroenteritis in people over 5. That has been in the alert zone now for about 2 to 3 weeks, and so that is something that is currently being investigated by our surveillance team. And we have seen some increase in respiratory illnesses in a few of the districts. And respiratory illnesses encompasses any of the viruses or bacteria that would cause upper respiratory illness or pneumonias. With regards to COVID, we do know that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we have seen some slight increase, but nothing that we would say is significant at this time. But we've got to keep in mind incubation periods. We've got to keep in mind when the surveillance personnel will pick up these increases, and we need to ensure that we keep following it every week to see if there is a definite significant increase.
Omicron remains the strain of the COVID-19 virus that circulates in Belize and the region. There were several road traffic accidents involving motorcycles reported across the country over the weekend. Here in Orange Walk, a motorcycle driver was injured as he was involved in an accident late on Saturday night. Though the incident was not fatal, it follows a similar event which claims the life of 31-year-old Yeslin Arias on Monday of last week. With accidents involving motorcycles seemingly on the rise, today Commissioner of Police Chester Williams issued an appeal to motorists to exercise caution and follow traffic regulations which can save one's life.
We do have a number of these accidents involving motorcycles, and I want to appeal to motorcycle drivers that the rules of the road apply to them as well. Many a times motorcycle drivers believe that, or they operate in such a way as if the rules of the road do not apply to them. They overtake on the wrong side. They see vehicle coming and still overtaking. Several infractions that they would commit on these motorcycles, and it is a danger to their health. And that's the reason why we're seeing that a number of persons are dying as a result of motorcycle accidents. And so we want to encourage motorcycle riders to please adhere to the rules of the road. And if they do so, it is going to help to save their lives.
Are your statistics showing that there's been an increase recently?
Certainly, yes.
9 out of 10 times, what would you say is the cause of these accidents?
Inattentive, or they make the wrong move.
Coming up next, Belize and Mexico forge regional development in tourism, business, and travel. Stay tuned.
Snackers chips are more than just a snack. They're a proud product of Belize. Sourced from corn grown in Cayo's lush valleys, then crafted with care and packaged to perfection by Belizeans. When you choose Snackers, you're choosing the taste of home and flavors you'll love. Snackers, done right, done here.
Belize and Mexico today entered an agreement that hopes to forge regional development for both countries in areas of tourism, business, and travel. It comes as a result of numerous meetings between the Cámara Nacional de Comercio y Servicios Turístico and the BTIA Corozal chapter. Both the Belizean and Mexican press were invited to cover the unveiling of the project today in Chetumal, Quintana Roo. Elmer Cornejo reports.
Over the years, Belize and Mexico have developed strong links that have enabled us to strengthen political dialogue and scientific cooperation, health and education issues, and cultural and economic exchanges. Today, that diplomatic relation transcended even further boundaries with an agreement set in place to strengthen economic sustainability, business longevity, and enhancement of tourism for both countries that are close neighbors, yet separated by the Rio Hondo. The plan was formalized by BTIA Corozal and the Cámara Nacional de Comercio y Servicios Turísticos, who today revealed the focus of the project via press conference in Chetumal, Quintana Roo.
Hay que tomar en cuenta que hay resultados de carácter de gobierno que se han estado dando desde hace tiempo. Muestra de eso es que el presidente de la República, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, exentó de muchos aranceles a productos que ustedes exportan a México, como lo es el ganado, como lo es el azúcar y como son otros productos que consumimos. Y que estamos viendo ahorita que el gobierno de Belice está quitando impuestos a los mexicanos que desean ir a Belice. Yo creo que a partir de esa experiencia que desde hace mucho tiempo nuestros gobiernos están poniendo, los empresarios tenemos que aprovecharlo. Pero también así como hay esas buenas acciones, hay algunas prácticas que se dan en la frontera y que eso, lejos de ayudar, perjudican y que es donde tenemos que trabajar. Pero solo como sector empresarial no lo vamos a lograr si no involucramos a las autoridades que tienen que ver con esos problemas, con la corrupción, con el abuso de autoridad y con el maltrato, porque hay que decirlo. Entonces lo que queremos nosotros es que ese flujo de turistas que siempre ha existido, que siga existiendo y que incremente. Y lo recalco, no solo para Chetumal, sino para Belice. Anteriormente muchas familias chetumaleñas iban a comer en Corozal cada domingo y se dejó de hacer eso por las restricciones que ponen a veces nuestros gobiernos y no se dan cuenta que se perjudica lo que tradicionalmente o históricamente ya teníamos. Yo creo que en ese sentido el sector empresarial se suma a estas mesas de trabajo para que porque en el sector empresarial nos gusta que las cosas se den de manera práctica y rápida y es lo que vamos a estar propulsando o vamos a estar incentivando, que las soluciones sean prácticas, inmediatas, porque no podemos esperar los tiempos de la autoridad, porque también sabemos que la burocracia en muchas ocasiones tardan en dar los resultados.
Belize and BTIA Corozal was represented today by Efren Paris, chair of BTIA Corozal. He utilized the platform to promote the Corn and Coconut Fest scheduled for this weekend in Corozal in hopes of attracting Mexican tourists.
The BTIA Corozal organized this event for us to be able to promote our Coconut and Corn Fest, which is going to be held this Saturday, August 3rd. But more importantly, what we were looking at is trying to build relationships with the Mexican counterparts. BTIA is committed to trying to work with our local hotels to build that relationship with other hotels here in Quintana Roo. Our focus is trying to build multi-destinational packages where travelers coming in from through the international airport in Tulum and through the Tren Maya would be able to take advantage of going over to Belize. And similarly, those tourists that go to Belize and Belizeans can take advantage of coming over to Mexico. For us, like I said, in Corozal, we've always been looked as a destination that has been forgotten in tourism. And in the past, we've had a good flow of Mexicans that used to come into the district. One of the things that we're doing right now with these exchanges that we want to do is for us to really create that awareness of our neighboring Mexico.
And with the recent wave border exit taxes from selected Mexican state visitors, Perez is of the opinion that we should soon start seeing a higher influx of Mexican into Belize.
Participation of the Ministry of Tourism in this event allows us to be able to strengthen that relationship, but more so look at issues that we might have at the border. For example, the pass, the fees that were charged, and all those different issues. By forming a working committee, as we had agreed this morning in our initial meeting, it's really to spearhead that, for us to be able to work with not only the tourism industry, but they also suggested that we need to work with the economic development of the country, looking at education, looking at health. And so this gives us a really good launch pad in terms of looking at various issues. And from our point of view, from the Corozal chapter being neighboring to Mexico, we will continue to do that. The BTIA Corozal organized this event for us to be able to promote our Coconut and Corn Fest, which is going to be held this Saturday, August 3rd. But more importantly, what we were looking at is trying to build relationships with the Mexican counterparts. BTIA is committed to trying to work with our local hotels to build that relationship with other hotels here in Quintana Roo. Our focus is trying to build multi-destinational packages where travelers coming in from through the international airport in Tulum and through the Tren Maya would be able to take advantage of going over to Belize. And similarly, those tourists that go to Belize and Belizeans can take advantage of coming over to Mexico.
And for Canaco Servitur, its president Amir Padilla Espada says the completion of the Tren Maya will further the growth of tourism for both countries. With the passenger terminal completed in Chetumal, the focus now is the cargo terminal that is about to be accomplished.
Lo que tenemos que la presidenta electa Claudia Sheinbaum ha hecho declaraciones en donde viene a potencializar más el tema del Tren Maya. Se va a concluir la estación de pasajeros aquí en Chetumal. Ya está terminada. Lo que nosotros esperamos es que la estación de carga se pueda concluir y ella ya declaró que se va a concluir y se va a construir la estación de carga. ¿Por qué es importante la estación de carga? Porque a través del tren nos pueden llegar más productos y podemos transportar más productos de aquí hacia el centro del país o del centro del país hacia la zona sur de Quintana Roo y podemos hacer un intercambio comercial a precios más baratos sobre el flete de la mercancía que se transporta. Entonces eso nos pone en una sintonía que si nosotros podemos acá fabricar algunos artículos o productos, los podemos transportar a cualquier parte del país a través del Tren Maya. Ese es uno. La otra parte que ha dicho la presidenta Claudia Sheinbaum es de que existe la posibilidad de que se pueda dar el Tren Maya, de acuerdo a las pláticas que ha sostenido con el gobierno de Belice, hacia Belice, que eso también ayudaría muchísimo, lógicamente, al país de Belice. Yo creo que con la presidenta, en la postura que ha hecho y las declaraciones, es de que se sigue en firme el tema del Tren Maya y que se van a formar polos industriales en varias partes del país y la zona sur con frontera con Belice ha declarado ella que se va a destinar un polo tipo industrial que permita potencializar y generar mayor derrama económica y más empleo para los quintanarroenses y lógicamente si hacemos tratados, pues lógicamente los beliceños también pudieran venir a trabajar acá y tener un libre tránsito, gentes que puedan estar trabajando tanto en Belice como en México y creo que eso es beneficioso para ambas partes.
Those present at today's press conference also had the opportunity to learn more about the various services offered by business in Mexico and Belize. Elmer Cornejo, Ctv3 News.
The last execution carried out in Belize happened over 40 years ago in 1985. Belize's last death penalty was handed down in 2005, and by 2023 there were no longer any individuals on death row in Belize. Despite going over 40 years without affecting the death penalty, however, Belize maintains a de facto moratorium on executions, meaning that the practice is still legal in our country but is currently not being used. Just recently, this issue was raised in an editorial in the Amandala named Sacrifice the Death Penalty option. This editorial argued, and we quote, "It may be time that we seriously consider a return to the death penalty as an option upon conviction for murder," end quote. The editorial has prompted a response from a leading human rights attorney, Pervez Jabbar, who is co-founder of a group named the Death Penalty Project, along with Belizean Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith. According to the group, the death penalty should be stricken from the books in Belize simply because it is not being implemented.
2/3 of the world now, 75% of the world, has either abolished the death penalty or stopped executing and are considered ADF. Abolitionist de facto, meaning that no execution has taken place in that particular country for more than a decade. So Belize is in that category, okay? There are 126 countries that totally have abolished the death penalty for all crimes or ordinary crimes.
The project maintains a full abolition, not resumption of executions, is a direction of travel Belize should be taken.
It finds itself currently is having the death penalty on the statute books, not having executed for 40 years, as Godfrey has just told you, not having sentenced anybody to death for 20 years, nobody being on death row for a decade. And so the natural question, and it's a question that's asked of all countries, which is, where are you? Are you moving towards abolition? Are you stuck somewhere? Should we consider abolition? Because when you see the editorials that say maybe we should start resuming executions, it's a really fallacious argument on the one side. And on another side, it's that really isn't surely the conversation that should be having. The conversation that we should be having, which I think is the concern for the public, is that the conviction rates are very low. The detection rates are low. People do not feel safe. People feel the administration of the criminal justice system isn't working. And so the question to be asked is, how do we improve this? How should we improve this?
As the only country in Central America to retain the death penalty, Smith says its existence in Belize only serves to provide a false sense of security and does nothing to deter crime in our country.
As we keep repeating, it can't give you a sense of comfort or security because no one's been hanged for 40 years. No one has been sentenced to death for 20. And the last person we said that was on death row was more than 10 years ago. Again, it can only be give a sense of security if it serves as a deterrence. And to repeat, for it to serve as a deterrent, it would have to be imposed on a lot of people very quickly.
Even if the death penalty is removed, however, the Death Penalty Project maintains that there are still tools available in Belize's constitution to provide adequate punishment even for the most heinous of crimes.
Jules, I mean, I think you put it very, very well. It's a very blunt instrument. It's not effective. When you talk about the most heinous crimes, how do we measure what that is? To a particular family, a simple murder is a heinous crime. You don't need to go to the extreme terrorist case or whatever. The impact it has on a family is huge. So I don't think when we talk about proportionality and we talk about crime, for me, as I said to you, in many of the jurisdictions that don't have the death penalty, but heinous crimes are committed in the United Kingdom, in the US, for example. There are many. Of course, there might be the odd person that calls for death, but the majority do not say, this is the worst of the worst, we must have the death penalty. They talk about punishment. They talk about perhaps this person never being released because they're dangerous or whatever it may be. So it's not that if you have the death penalty, then you have a tool for the most heinous crime. And if you don't, you are without it.
While the issue is one of national importance, Attorney Godfrey Smith says it would not merit a referendum to decide on its abolition.
It's not something that merits a referendum. Why? Because, again, to repeat, why seek a referendum on something that's not really an active or live issue? It hasn't been implemented for 40 years. Nobody has been sentenced for 20 years. So to me, it would be a waste of money. And if the data is suggesting, if the studies and the empirical evidence is showing a worldwide trend moving away from it, if the judge's position is that it should not be imposed and has not been imposed, the question then becomes one of policy for a government, in my view.
Teachers from across the Orange Walk district are currently engaged in a 2-day training session facilitated by Pathlight as part of their annual Summer Teachers Conference. The ongoing capacity building sessions are focused on providing educators with enhanced knowledge on the national competency-based curriculum now being implemented across the country. Our news team stopped by at the La Inmaculada school grounds and caught up with the folks at Pathlight who shared more about this ongoing session.
So Pathlight every year has an annual teacher training conference or summer conference. This year we are having it in Orange Walk. We had it in Belize City yesterday. We have 2 days in Orange Walk today. The goal is to build teachers' capacity in using the new curriculum. So for the early childhood, we're looking at play-based strategies. We're looking at working with younger students, connecting with our parents, engaging our community at the lower levels. For the primary level, we're looking at collaboration, which is one of the macro competencies from the National Curriculum Framework. And so we're looking at group dynamics, conflict mediation in terms of working with groups, managing conflicts within groups. And then at the high school level, they're looking at 21st century skills, specifically the 7 macro competencies, and aligning those competencies to the new learning outcomes for lower secondary.
During the 2-day workshop, according to Director of the Teacher Training at Pathlight, Consuelo Godfrey, teachers are expected to engage in insightful activities and walk away with invaluable networking opportunities.
So most schools in the country know about Pathlight. We're one of the largest training providers in the country, and so they know how to contact us. So we have a good social media network. We're on Facebook, we're on WhatsApp, we're on Instagram. We also have a website. And then our trainers are well versed. We've all been teachers in the system. Some of us have worked with the Ministry of Education before in our professional tenure. And so teachers know us, they know how to contact us, and schools know how to reach out to us in order for us to go to their school and work with these teachers specifically to these trainings that we're offering in the summer. So
known as one of the most influential teacher training bodies in the country, Pathlight is also looking at engaging in a new venture in the upcoming academic school year to provide mentorship to teachers across the North.
I'd like to add that this year, Pathlight will be piloting a new program, our coaching and mentoring program, where we'll be selecting schools in the north and some in the city to pilot a mentoring and coaching program where we are going to actually go in and work with teachers to kind of help them with some of their pedagogical delivery of their content, working with them on assessment to assist them with some of this, transition that they need to have.
Tonight, the Gonzalez family from the village of Shinosh in Corozal find themselves at a crossroads and in dire need of financial assistance after one of their loved fell sick. Yanira Gonzalez told that her son was admitted at the Northern Regional Hospital on June 4, 2024 for a swollen appendix. However, that only marked the beginning of the family's nightmare. Gonzalez's son has lost a lot of weight, and even though he has sought various medical opinions, a concrete response is yet to be obtained. All that is known for now is that Gonzalez appears to have developed an abscess that is quickly deteriorating his health.
La situación de mi hijo empezó el 4 de junio el día que él empezó con complicaciones y dolor, que lo llevamos al hospital de Orange Walk a operación. Y desde ese entonces él ha tenido muchas complicaciones. Yo lo he llevado de un doctor a otro y en vez que yo vea mejoría, pues se me complicaba más la situación. Él no podía comer, vomitaba, dolor y problemas como diarrea para ir al baño. Lo llevé con doctor, le estaban poniendo antibióticos, pero luego se mejoraba unos días, volvió a recaer, hasta que lo tuve que llevar otra vez con el médico y el médico me dijo que yo lo tengo que llevar otra vez en el hospital de Orange Walk con el cirujano para que el cirujano lo revise, porque pues él ya tenía mes y medio de operado. Pues lo llevamos al hospital y yo le pedí al doctor de emergencia que por favor me lo atendiera y que el cirujano lo viera, porque yo sé que él está, a mi preocupación mía era porque él está operado de apéndice. Pues ahí lo estuvieron atendiendo, se le calmó el dolor, ultrasonido, x-ray, nada, análisis, todo, que está limpio, no tiene nada de H. pylori, todo lo que ellos pensaban, una pancreatitis, todo lo que podía hacer. La última opción fue que nos mandaron a hacer un ultrasonido y la del ultrasonido miró que hay un poquito de líquido, pero el cirujano dijo que solo es tiene que ser un poquito de líquido, es normal para que las tripas no peguen.
Fast forward to July 19, 2024, Gonzalez was taken to the hospital in Belize City for an urgent CT scan, right after he was admitted for a number of days under medications.
No recuerdo bien la fecha, pero el viernes de emergencia nos fuimos a hacerle un CT scan, mi familia apoyándome. Fuimos a hacerle CT scan, hicieron unas ventas y fuimos en BME, que es Belize-Mexico Associates, y allí le hicieron el CT scan. No nos leyeron el resultado ahí, así que yo lo llevé al hospital, pero yo ya sabía que algo no andaba bien con él. Nos dijeron que es un absceso que él tiene y que hay un líquido en el área retroperitoneal, que es detrás del riñón, y que ahí nos dijeron en el hospital que le van a internar con antibióticos por 7 días. Pues ahí estuve yo el viernes en la tarde, me ingresaron como a las 5:30, a las 10 de la noche lo metieron en General Ward. Pues ahí estuvimos el sábado, domingo, lunes. Mi familia no estaba contento porque él siempre dentro del hospital estaba vomitando con dolor por complicaciones.
It has now been determined that the family is in need of $12,000 in order for 20-year-old Vladimir to undergo surgery if he has to have a chance of living a normal life again.
Lo que es el hospital, lo llevamos a Chetumal. Ahí le hicieron otra tomografía, que se dice allí que aquí es CT scan. Y luego ahí en la tomografía el doctor en clínica campestre me dijo que él tiene todavía mucho de ese absceso, líquido hay, y ya no solo es eso, sino que es problema en su tripa, que hay mucho aire en su tripa, a donde está hollado su tripa ya, y eso puede ser consecuencia de lo que quizá al operarlo, la infección, que no lo limpiaron bien, todo eso pudo haber pasado, y él tendría que trabajar con él, abrirlo otra vez y tener que quitarle un pedazo de su tripa. En el hospital hubo un poco de descuido porque el doctor me dijo que a donde no lo limpiaron bien o quizá el apéndice estaba inflamado y al desinflamarse pudo haberse soltado donde lo tenían operado, pero yo no sé qué podrían ellos solucionar o hacer algo para mí ahorita, que mi hijo ya está en una condición que está bien decaído, bien débil. Nos fuimos el viernes allá ayer nos fuimos a Belize, en Belize Healthcare Partners. Igual nos va a salir muy carísimo la operación. Ellos nos dijeron que mi hijo sí está muy delicado para esa operación ya, porque ya pasó más de mes y medio, ya va corriendo 2 meses en este mes de agosto.
With his Social Security sickness benefit depleted, Vladimir is now asking the public and relevant authorities for assistance.
My family doesn't have enough money for the surgery. Anyone that would like to help would be very well appreciated, and at least the least thing that the government could do for me is continue my social security. That would be a very good help. At least that could be done.
The Gonzalez family has agreed to keep us updated on the health situation of Vladimir. We will keep following the story. And there is more news after the break.
Win big with Centaur. As a valued customer, we're showing our appreciation for your continued loyalty with an incredible promotion. Update your account and receive one ticket to win $1,000 cash towards your child's education expenses. Get an extra ticket for every month you pay in advance. One lucky winner for each of our 3 branches will receive $1,000 cash. Drawing date September 6 on the Despierta Belize Morning Show. Don't miss this opportunity to secure your child's education. Update your account now. Start earning those entry tickets and win big with Centaur.
A few weeks ago, we brought you the story of Nevis Music School located in San Joaquin, Corozal. The institution provides music classes for all ages. 2 weeks ago, music enthusiasts registered for a 2-week music camp, and on Friday, each participant received a certificate for a job well done during a graduation ceremony. For the owner of the musical school, having this cohort complete the course spells accomplishment.
We had 2 weeks music camp for this 2024 music program that it took here in San Joaquin Village in the Corozal district. It was 2 weeks intensive with theory activities, arts and crafts, and we had the painting as well on canvases. We had that program as well, and we did many musical games within, the activities that was prepared for them.
Nevi Chan says receiving recognition is fundamental for her students as it shows that her hard work pays off.
That graduation is a completion of hard work, dedication, perseverance, and commitment to their musical pieces, and learning to read the music sheets. And we actually did one of the famous composer Ludwig van Beethoven, Ode to Joy, and that's why the children ending into a graduation ceremony like this is going to encourage them that not only in this life they would only read the music or books, but that they have learned the perseverance, the commitment that in their everyday that life gives them.
Nevis Music School graduated 16 young musicians who completed a 2 weeks intense music training. Mary Hill RC Primary School in Corozal is hosting its first ever 21K run on Sunday, August 4, 2024. Today we spoke to one of the organizers via Zoom since he was away in Mexico. He told us why the school has opted to engage in this event in hopes of attracting people not only from Corozal, but across the country and region. Interested participants must register by the end of business tomorrow, Wednesday, July 31st, 2024. Male and females will vie for a cash prize of first, second, and third place. The race takes off at 5:35 a.m. from the Mary Hill RC Primary School grounds and ends at the Orchid Bay Resort.
We have always been an advocate of cleaning the environment. We have been an advocate of saving the environment. So we said we can do a run in the newly paved road leading to Sartaneja. At the same time, we have it as a fundraiser. We're trying to fundraise for the painting of our buildings.
The discounted price for registration is $45 Belize dollars. So far, some 30 runners from Belize, Mexico, and Guatemala have signed up.
It's open to the public. We're having people coming from Playa del Carmen. We have people from Petén. We also have runners from different groups coming from Cayo, from Orange Walk, from Belize City. So we will have a good group. So far, we have about 30 runners, and these are runners that have been doing it for over some time. So it's going to be quite competitive on that day.
Are there any prizes involved in this race?
Yeah, I forgot to mention the fee was $55. At this point, it's $45, but it will not include the T-shirt. So you can still, if you're interested, you can still, sign up and pay $45. The prizes are first $500, both male and female categories. Second and third. Second will be $400 each, and then third will be $300 each.
You can reach Guillermo Pech at telephone number 628-7078 for more information. Registration can be made online at totaltimebz.com. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, July 31st, here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.